Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have a very special guest with me today.
Hello.
Bring your fiance to work day. We decided to film like a pretty lengthy Q&A, and this was a requested video when I asked what you wanted to see. So we did a little Instagram Q&A, and now we're gonna answer the questions. And I said nothing was off limits, so we're really gonna try to answer questions that we've never answered before. I think we're a little slanted. Our floor is very uneven, so I can never get the frame to be completely straight. So I think it's a little slanted. We are gonna go over, we got mostly questions about our finances, about the situation with the pandemic. We got questions about our wedding, how it affects that, about babies, moving back to Texas, just relationship questions overall, like how we deal with certain things. What else?
That was all that.
Pretty much sums it up. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. Do you want to do the questions or me?
I can do the question asker.
You want to be the question asker?
I can do that. All right, first question.
We're ready.
How did you know he was the one?
See, the funny thing is, you always get asked that question, but no one's ever asked me that question.
Okay. Enlighten me.
You know, I was actually kind of going through a breakup when I met Ryan, so I was really trying to like fight this relationship off. And
That's true.
He was so persistent, but not in like a creepy weird way. You're just very persistent, and he made me laugh. And I found myself, whenever I was starting to feel sad, I wanted to turn to him as a friend to just talk to, and just because I knew he was there for me, and he just always knew the right thing to say. And I don't think, like, there wasn't a certain moment, it was just little things that built up over time that I was like, I just can't live without this person. Like, do you know what I mean?
I do. Wore you down.
You did wear me down.
Next question. What is the status on your wedding now that the pandemic is upon us?
We're still planning on going through with it. There was a moment of panic, I think, with us living here in New York and with what's going on, especially here. The wedding's kind of been an afterthought for us. Like, there's so much more to worry about. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be worried about your personal things, because it does affect your personal life, and you shouldn't be ashamed or feel selfish for worrying about that. But so far, I think our wedding's gonna go ahead and move forward. It's at the end of the year, so, you know, there's not a timeline on this thing. So I think it's just...
We're playing it by ear.
Yeah, we are.
We'll see what happens.
We're still gonna send out our invites and save the dates and just do everything we're supposed to do until then.
Yeah. Advice for couples who are constantly fighting over stupid things. What do you got?
Well, I think when you're fighting over stupid things, I think there's always a like more deep-rooted issue than the stupid thing. Like, if you're fighting over who's taking out the trash, who's doing dishes, I think there's something that's like deeper there. And I think you need to figure out what that is. Do you agree?
Agree. There's always deeper rooted issues that you need to talk about in a non-argumentative space. So don't try to talk about deep stuff when you're fighting over not doing the dishes.
Yeah, give it a minute.
Or a couple of minutes.
Or a few.
Some good or bad habits that you got from each other.
Oh, I got one of my good habits from you is definitely my work ethic. I've always had a really strong work ethic, but when I met you, I think it like tripled times 10, because you're...
Tripled times 10.
Like 10, 3 times. 3. I'm very aware of all of your bad habits, and I try not to take them on. Not that you have any like super bad habits, but...
We all have our subjective bad habits. For me, I probably took on your cleanliness more than ever, which is a good habit.
Yeah.
And bad habits, I don't think I took on any of your bad habits.
You're inferring that I have bad habits though, so...
Well, that's outside the scope of this. What's your favorite thing about each other physically and personality wise?
Aww. Physically, I like that perky little booty. And personality wise, I don't know, we share like the same sense of humor, like things that we think are funny. Sometimes like nobody else would think is funny. We have so many inside jokes with each other that just no one else would understand. People would think we're such idiots. So that's probably mine.
Ever since day one, I've always been most attractive to Ash's just overall face. She's so beautiful. And personality-wise, she's the most selfless and nurturing person that I've ever known. So those characteristics.
Aww.
Do you plan on having children soon after the wedding? How many?
Yeah. I mean, we
We've
definitely...
been talking about it.
Yeah, we definitely want kids, and we definitely have set like a timeline for ourselves on how we would like things to go. I know with, you know, having kids, everything is so unpredictable. But I do think it's okay to set like a goal and a timeline for yourself on, you know, how you want the next like few years to go and when to start a family. And
Soonish after the wedding, depending on the state of the world. I think we've talked about 4 before, haven't we?
yeah, I'm a family of 4. There's 4 of us, and it's just like when it was my brother and I, it was so different from when we added the twins into the mix, and adding like those 2, and I know we say 4 now, but we might change our mind, but ideally, just thinking about it, we would like to have 4.
Agree.
Yeah.
I want a big bunch of family when I'm old.
Yeah.
Has Ryan's style improved significantly since he met you? 100%.
Ryan used to wear jeans and flip-flops and like tacky graphic tees. No offense to anybody who that is their current wardrobe.
I was not a graphic tee wearer. I was a oxymoronic t-shirt wearer.
Yeah, it's like, ugh.
That's what I enjoyed.
Okay. Okay. I get it.
Do you think you'll rent for a while when you move back to Texas, or buy relatively quickly?
I know whenever we do, there are no plans to move back to Texas at this point for Ryan and I. Well, I'll just go ahead and clear that up. But I'm sure we will rent something until we find a neighborhood and an area that we like in the city we move to. I don't think we would buy something right off the bat, like not knowing that neighborhood or...
80 to 90% chance that.
Yeah.
Small chance that there's some incredible deals to be had during this market in the next year or so. Have you thought about daily vlogging?
Oh,
absolutely not.
No. Two things. My audience, I have a much older demographic, and I say much older because it's like 25 to 35 is my actual demographic. You know, I'm not in like the 12 to 18 range, and my demographic, they have husbands and families and boyfriends and busy jobs and busy lives, and they don't have time to watch everyday vlogging, and I don't blame them. I'm the same way. You know, you are who you attract, and I feel like a lot of my subscribers are like me, and you know, they have busy lives, they have a lot going on, and they just don't want to see that. There's probably a handful of my audience that would watch daily vlogs, so I'm just trying to cater to the majority, and it's hard on us.
Daily vlogging ruins your life. Incredibly stressful. It's not worth it. Ask anybody that's actually done it, even other huge creators that have talked about when they used to do it, and they'll talk about how terrible life got.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
It sucks. It really does. And it's like not a way to live. It's not. It's really, it's extremely difficult. And we have so many other things going on that it just doesn't make sense to daily vlog. If we were just vloggers and like that was our career, maybe it would make sense, but a majority of our days are spent behind the computer and on calls. Nobody wants to see that.
Are you guys doing any premarital counseling before getting married?
We aren't, but we haven't even like talked about something like that.
No, not opposed to it.
No, I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I think it's nice to sit down and talk to somebody, whether it's like premarital counseling or just seeing somebody in general, personally, for yourself. I think that's great.
Agree. How was your weight gaining plan or routine going that you started last year?
We are gonna vlog. Our next vlog will be all about our home gym, and I'm gonna do like a what I've been eating and my program and like how things are going, so stay tuned for that. That's coming.
What's the structure of the 5th floor team now? Interns, editors, office setup, etc.
Well, Ryan and I are working from home. We got rid of our office because at the time it just didn't seem to make sense for us. Financially and personally, we decided against it. But we have, how many people work for the magazine? Six, and we only have one intern. The other 5 are paid part-time employees.
How to motivate my boyfriend to eat more healthy. You can't motivate anybody. That has to be an internal thing. But you can be a great significant other by leading by example. But just following your own healthy routine will rub off on people over time.
Yeah.
But never drop hints like, hey, how about a salad instead of that burger?
Yeah,
Don't be that person.
That's annoying. If nobody knows the dynamic of your relationship better than you. If you are comfortable having that like sit down conversation, like a heart to heart, and just say, hey, I want to grow old with you. I want us to be happy and healthy. What can I do to support you to eat healthier? If you can create like a safe space and like that's something that you guys do, then definitely be open and honest and communicate. But if you're not comfortable, like Ryan said, just lead by example and hopefully he'll come around.
Has Ryan been a part of the wedding planning? Kind of.
Yeah, you've enjoyed it.
I've helped gather addresses and we look at Pinterest boards.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to about marriage and what scares you the most about it?
Neither on both ends, no offense.
You're not looking forward to anything?
I mean,
what a crappy answer.
When you've been together for
almost 8 years.
8 years, I mean, I don't know. I thought like after we got engaged, I would feel the same, but I definitely felt different after we got engaged. I was like a little bit shocked at how different I felt in a good way. So I don't know, maybe it'll just be like a feeling, like
maybe.
Like I'm a wife now.
Yeah, I can't think of anything like looking forward to most. Maybe just calling you my wife. That sounds pretty cool. What are your business financial goals for the next 5 years? Buying a house, prepping for kids, etc. In the next 5 years, yeah. Building a house. Kids are definitely in that house.
Lots of dogs.
Lots of animals. All the animals.
But we're financially planning. We have like a whole spreadsheet on our goals financially in order to help us get to where we want. So we started with, here's what we want our life to look like in 5 years, and then we worked backwards to where we are now and set milestones for ourselves. So that's how we did the financial part of that. It makes it more realistic, more achievable when you do that and you see it every day.
You need to see numbers to plan out the future.
Yeah.
So have a spreadsheet that has all your dream life expenses. How much does your house cost? How much does your car cost?
Travel. If you want to travel.
Groceries for the amount of family that you want. And then add 30% to that for emergency miscellaneous. And then you work backwards on how to get that. Boom. How do you guys handle conflict?
Communication. I know that's such a cliche answer, but it's the only answer.
It's the truth.
Peaceful, calmness, communication.
Less emotion.
Yes.
More logic.
Yeah. Yeah, we really try when we're having a conflict to take the emotion out of it. And if you do that, you will open up a whole new world of possibility for you and your partner. Now, you both have to be on board with this. It's not just like a one-way street, but I promise it like makes a world of difference.
Next question. Who/where do you find inspiration for business, character, style, passion, home decor?
Oh.
It's a wide range.
Books. I love reading. Not only do you find inspiration and motivation in books, but you also learn and you gain from it as well. And, for a $12 book could change your life. It certainly has for me. There are certain books that I've read that I see things differently now. So it's amazing what a good book can do. And for everything else, like Pinterest, I could spend an hour on Pinterest and it really feeds my creativity and opens up new pockets that I didn't know existed. What about you? Podcasts?
Podcasts, books, networking, You're gonna find the most personal growth in your whole life when you expand who you network with, like who you know. And that will also expand your financial world too, if you're proactively getting around people that are more successful than you, further along in life, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Old people know a lot.
Yeah.
You should hang out with them, get to know them. And then also Pinterest. Pinterest covers like everything after business.
You go to Pinterest?
Pinterest covers style, passion, home decor.
Yeah.
Do you know how many amazing coffee mugs with quotes there are on Pinterest?
Probably more than I ever want to know.
More than you'll ever know. Do you believe in investing in stocks is better than just saving the cash in your early 20s? Do you have a really good job in your early 20s to where you can save a bunch? Or do you not? Do you know what you're doing investing in the stock market? Like, are you only investing in certain sectors? It really depends. Honestly, if I'm in my 20s, it's just about allocating certain percentages of paychecks every single month that go away into accounts that I can never see.
Yeah.
It's, if you never see it, you'll never miss it. And
All right, our camera got too hot, so we had to turn it off, but we're back.
Okay. I don't know where I left off with this answer. I'll say it depends, in my opinion, but you should already be allocating a certain percentage of your income to investments. The next is, what vitamins are you currently taking? Do you experience PMS?
PMS.
It's a little S.
I take the personalized vitamin packs. I think Persona Packs is what it's called. And I actually, sorry if this is TMI, I mean, we all go through it, but I have an IUD, so I don't get a period because of that. But even before that, I've never had PMS or mood swings. I used to get really bad headaches and cramps, but that's it. What about you? Do you have PMS?
I don't. I missed out on that one.
You did.
What is one food that Ryan eats that you just hate? Crying face.
It's like not even about that. It's about what he mixes together. Like he'll be like, okay, I need this many grams of this many grams of this. Well, I'm gonna take these noodles and just mix them in with the black beans and add some tofu on top. And I'm like, the combinations, nothing makes sense to me when it comes to you.
It's not supposed to make sense to you. It's supposed to make sense to the numbers. Food is fuel. You need to hit numbers. That's how I look at it. How do you deal with failure? How do you deal with the feeling that everything is falling apart?
I can say that I've had like personal growth in this, and as I'm sure everybody does just with age, but used to, like when I was in my early 20s and I, didn't get the job that I applied for, I would just sit and sulk for weeks and cry and be mad at everybody and take it out on everybody, and nothing was my fault. And now I look at it just as I've gotten older, that's why I think failure is like the most important thing for growth, because the more I fail, the more I learn how to take responsibility for my failures, and the more I bounce back and like come at it 10 times harder. So I think like really with age and with practice and like so many failures, like so many.
I have a practice of not lingering on things at all when they happen that I try to stick to. Sometimes you can linger a little longer than I should. There's a great book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And that book is amazing on a bunch of levels, but one of the things that stuck with me since I read it was how people hold on to things that happen to them, whether it just be somebody was rude to me, or I didn't like the way that person did XYZ, or this sucked. They hold on to that stuff. If we're walking down the street and a taxi goes by, you let that taxi go by and you never think about that taxi again. You need to treat these types of things like the taxi that's going by and never think about that stuff again, because it's got of no consequence to you. So that's how I look at a lot of failures, and hard times are things that are just passing by, and I don't need to hold on to those. One kicker, there's good and bad to that. There's good things from childhood that shape who you are that you hold on to, and there's shit that doesn't serve you. there's a lot of stuff from childhood that you don't even know that messes with you.
That's true.
And you won't learn until you're later off in life. I got an example of that in a question later. What companies have you invested in / bought? We are invested in a startup studio, is what they're technically called. And what they do is they incubate other companies, or they take the seed capital that everybody put in and they invest it into other companies. So we're invested into company A, which invests into companies B through Z, if that makes sense. And some of those are ones that you've heard of, some of them you've never heard of and you never will. But like one of them is Girl Boss is one of the B through Z, or Reserve, which sold to Resi, which sold to American Express. That was another one of the B through Z. There's probably like 25 or 30 in there. So that's something that we've invested in and have ownership in. Companies that we bought. So recently we bought 2 pet supplement companies. And just this week we're closing on another one, and another one in the pet space that's not a supplement company. And that's with our business partner, Gary, who's been a long time friend of ours. We're just animal fanatics, and this is the space we wanted to move into. Once all these are organized more and we're able to change the branding on some of them and all that, you're going to be seeing a lot more of them in our content, and we're happy to send product to people and stuff like that. We were able to make a really big donation to shelters all over the US with some help from people that shared which shelters they knew were in need during the time right now. How do you keep busy while you two are usually so active? How do you handle anxiety?
We set up a home gym here. We luckily had a lot of the stuff, but we, early on, got some stuff on Amazon. So we've been still keeping busy and, going for our 2-3 walks a day. And how we handle anxiety is just, like I said, talking to one another. If you don't have anyone in your apartment to talk to, call your mom, call your sister, your best friend, get on Zoom, Skype. Just talking to somebody really is helping through this type of anxiety about what's going on.
How long did Ryan plan his proposal to you, have the ring? The proposal was...
I don't even know this.
6 or 7 months planned in advance.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Whoa, how long did Jenna know?
Jenna knew 2 months out.
Okay.
Because we needed her help.
She was acting so weird.
Jenna helped a lot in recreating fake documents to make her believe everything.
Fake brand deals, fake call sheets.
Jenna was the best.
Yeah.
And she watched Stella while we were gone.
Yeah, she did.
What are you most excited for in the future?
Oh, chapter 3. We always talk about chapter 3. We kind of categorize our life into chapters, and chapter 1 was when we met, and it was that beginning stages in our life where our biggest concern was I don't know, going to the movies, which one are we gonna see? Those were such precious times. And then chapter 2 was when we moved to New York, and chapter 3 is when we start a family. So I think just chapter 3.
Chapter 3. What's the best relationship advice you have for young singles?
I don't know if your question means how to cope, or not cope, but how to be single, or when you're looking for a relationship when you're single. I can speak definitely on if you need advice when you're single, looking for somebody, you're ready to find somebody. Just from personal experience, don't settle. And going in deeper with that, I mean, if you meet somebody and you're oh, I love everything about them. However, there's just these 2 things that I think they'll grow out of. I think they'll change. So I wouldn't chance that, especially when you're in your late 20s. I feel a lot of you guys, and I'm not saying everybody, nobody's the same, but I feel a lot of you aren't dating just to date. You're dating to find your person, and don't settle. Even if something just sounds like it's the most perfect package, however, there's just this one thing, well, he goes and parties with his friends, and I don't hear from him for days, but he's so nice to me, or he's the best. It's just sometimes he raises his voice to me and it scares me a little bit, but it's okay. No, don't settle for for any less than your worth, and know your worth. That, you know, that person is out there for you. You will find somebody great. You just have to be patient and just don't settle, please. Please. Any advice?
What she said. Other than that, any advice that comes from somebody my age or older related to, for young singles, how to navigate this, I don't think is applicable except for general principles like that. We didn't grow up in app swipe culture. Like,
dating was so different.
There's no data on 20-year marriages that came from Tinder and Bumble. Like,
there will be
eventually,
but there isn't now. It's just
any advice I would give is not applicable.
Yes,
except for general principles like
after you meet that person. Yeah.
What to do when a man doesn't know what he wants?
Girl, bye. I guess that question is like so broad. What do you mean knows what he wants? Like, I mean, like, doesn't know if he wants to get married, or doesn't know if he wants kids, like doesn't know what he wants for dinner. I don't know. You know, I guess like going from one extreme to the other, like the best quality in somebody is somebody who's decisive. And I think that comes with maturity and age. But if you're with somebody and you don't know if he wants, you know, to go ahead and, like, you know, ask you to marry him or settle down, whatever you do, just do not give somebody an ultimatum. I think that is just the word. I've seen it happen so many times. I've seen my friends try to do it. I've seen people I know try to do it. Just don't give an ultimatum and say, you know, if you don't propose in the next 6 months, like, I'm out. You don't want to pressure somebody into something they aren't ready for. I do think it's worth a conversation. Like I said before, if you're in that safe space, have a conversation. But if he just, like, doesn't know what he wants, like, for dinner, I mean, I'm like that sometimes.
I would say just be empathetic. Be empathetic. Have very open conversations. Be there for him or her.
Yeah, if it's like a career thing, like he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, like that's something totally different. Then, like, he needs your support and your love, and, you know, for you to be there for him without giving unsolicited advice all the time. He might just need, like, someone to really just be there for him. I don't know, it's such a broad question, so it's, like, really hard to answer.
Next, are you as into investing as Ryan?
We both do it together, and we definitely, like, sit down and have conversations and talk before every decision that's made. But, you know, through Ryan's connections, like, he's a little bit more in charge of, like, what's going on like, the front end of it, and the back end, and the middle end.
Ash's time is much better spent on other things versus, like, the nitty-gritty and details of that stuff, but she's always in the loop on what's going on. How do you manage and arrange finances?
You know, this is interesting. We got a lot of questions about our finances and banking, and yeah, we got a ton of questions regarding that specifically.
Well, we've had joint finances ever since we moved to New York, really. Mm-hmm. That's when we joined finances, really, because we were making big financial decisions just moving to New York. And this is completely personal on how you want to handle it. We've had great success with the trust and honesty of having joint finances, to be able to openly share, like, hey, this is what I got, this is what you got, here's what I'm spending my money on, here's what you've been, what do we need to make adjustments for based on our goals for the long term. What new activity or hobby would you be willing to try in the future?
I don't know if this is like a hobby, but I would love to learn a new language. And I would love to learn how to play an instrument. The piano, specifically.
Ditto.
You can't, like, what's yours? You can't copy mine.
I thought of it first, so you copied me. What was Ryan's motivation to become self-employed? Did he work in online marketing before? My motivation stemmed from, I mean, as far back as I can think, I'd always wanted to just be my own boss. And I think when I actually had to get real jobs, that kind of ingrained it even further, that I was not a good employee. I always thought in most cases that there were better ways to do things. And I just had trouble listening to people that I felt weren't as competent. So yeah, no, I didn't have experience in online marketing before I started. My experience was limited to doing free work for people to prove that I could do it.
That's a very important thing to remember.
Next, how do you find your alone time in the current situation?
I feel like people think that Ryan and I are like on top of each other, like all the time, even in the current situation, but like all the time. We spend a majority of our day apart, even though we are in the same living space. I usually work in the kitchen and he usually works here. Sometimes we'll work side by side, but we could sit next to each other and go hours without saying a word to each other. I film, he takes his calls. Even like last night, he was out here doing something and I was in bed reading. So we definitely have our personal space and our alone time. And it's always been that way. We don't feel the need to constantly like be together all the time. It's easy to, because we enjoy the same things, the same TV shows, the same, and sometimes we'll have like quiet time where we both like get our book and read for an hour in bed.
Do you think you have the same personality from each other, or are you different? We're very different.
We're so different. We're complete opposites.
Very, very different. Which I think is the best match for a couple.
We balance each other out.
To have somebody be great at things you're not great at. That's really what makes a nice yin and yang.
Yeah. I'm very nurturing and very calming and peaceful. And Ryan's like very straightforward. If you have a bad day, he's, what happened? Now it's time to get over it. Why are you sulking? Whereas I would be like, just cry into my shoulder. Let's just cry together and hold hands. So,
and the balance to that is knowing when it's time to cry and be there for somebody, or when it's time to move on from things.
Yeah. We've never had an issue with our personality differences though. I don't think ever. I think we've always complimented each other pretty nicely.
What's your favorite neighborhood in NYC? Mine is Soho.
Do you want to say our favorite on 3?
I gotta think about it for a second.
Oh, see, I love Soho. It's a little too touristy for me. I only go there when I need to. I wouldn't just go there to like sit and relax and like hang out. But I have my favorite.
Okay, I got mine too.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. West Village.
Hey.
Heyo.
What is your greatest strength as a couple?
I think just like us together.
Yeah.
Like when we work together, we work so well together.
That's a good point.
And our communication is.
I think we're stronger together than we are apart, and that's
not a bad thing either.
Strength.
Yeah.
Next, is there anything that you're doing special for each other during this time?
I think just being patient with one another and just like being there for one another. Like Ryan said, he's not really having like a hard time as much as I am. If I see, like a really sad story on the news or like the death toll was just like crazy, it weighs on me, and not like a breakdown, but I've had a few times where I just feel like I can't take it, and he's just like extra there for me and just extra patient with me if I'm feeling a little like scatterbrained or foggy, or he's just like been a little bit more like soft, I guess.
I think we both just become more hyper aware of the other person's needs in a different time.
Yeah.
If you fight, what are your fights about? Mine is washing dishes.
Oh, we kind of talked about this earlier, that like little fights are like more deep-rooted problems. What do we fight about? It mostly like work stuff.
Yeah, mostly work stuff, which is, if you don't work with your spouse or significant other, you won't understand that.
Yeah.
But if you do, then you get it like very clearly.
Yeah. And there are certain times where like we'll plan like, oh, let's watch a movie tonight, and like, I'll be like on my phone because I have an email checked. It's annoying because we plan this time for ourselves. So I feel like Harry definitely just fell off the bed.
I think he did. Yeah.
and then roll 20 times. When our work life bleeds into our personal life, I think that's when we also have little bickers. Because, you know, even though we're both understanding that work does sometimes need to come first because that's our livelihood, it's just finding that balance sometimes.
How do you choose to manage your finances together? Bank account, savings, and spending.
Finance
Even though we
meetings.
have joint finances, we still have lots of different accounts. So that's the specifics of it. It's like savings accounts, different checking accounts, investment accounts. We all have our individual
Credit card, personal cards.
personal and business credit cards for each person. There's just a lot of different moving parts with it, but we both have access to both sides of it. And then finance meetings, like what she just talked about, where we'll sit down and look through Mint and kind of go through like, here's spending, here's categories where maybe there was a little too much.
Like, we spent too much on groceries this month. We really need to figure out like why, because sometimes like you don't realize how much you're spending on something until you sit down at the end of the month and you're like, how did I spend $300 on iced coffees this month? Because you see, like on the way back from the gym, I was just stopping at a coffee. I didn't realize, you know, how much that was adding up too. So it's about being responsible, because it's like not fair to Ryan when I'm doing that, and like vice versa, you know? So it's just being aware of like what you're spending your money on.
When did you start working out? How do you keep the ambition going?
When? I've been working out, I mean, just since like high school. I was like, you know, an athlete through high school, through college. So for me, it feels weird not to work out. I guess personally, like I don't have to dig down deep for that motivation to work out, unless there's just days where I'm feeling so lazy and I'm like, oh, I just wanna not work out today, lay in my sweatpants, but I know it'll make me feel energized and feel so good after I just get like a quick workout in and sweat and get my heart rate going. So I really like, I don't know, what about you?
I started working out when I was like 15, 14.
Because you were like very insecure with yourself.
Yeah, this is an example that I talked about earlier of childhood stuff catching up in a way, and you don't even realize it. So I started working out when I was in high school, mainly because of middle school. I was a chubbier kid, and kids are mean, obviously, and that stuck with me. So when I started working out in high school, obviously that changes your appearance, that changes the attention that you get, and that has stuck with me my entire life to now, where it's a core part of me. I don't subconsciously ever want to go back to middle school Ryan. So that's a childhood thing that stuck with me ever since. I also think it's a good childhood thing that stuck with me though, because not only does it make me feel better mentally, it's just good for me physically.
Long-term, longevity.
Does Ryan help with chores? How do you manage these things?
Yeah, I think we each like subconsciously have our own chores that we do around the house. Like when the trash needs to be taken out, like Ryan just takes it. I make dinner, he does the dishes. I do like a deep clean on the weekends, just like a quick deep clean, like I'll clean the couch, the bathrooms and stuff like that. But for the most part, we both pick up after each other during the week.
Do you take hormones to prevent getting pregnant? Sorry if it's personal.
No, I feel like it's like, I mean, for me, that's not personal. I have an IUD. I think I said that earlier. That will help me to not get pregnant, I guess. Oh, and if you guys like, oh, I should do a separate video about that. It's the worst pain in my whole life. And I have a very high pain tolerance. Woof.
I was there. How do you deal with angry Ryan man's logic? Greetings from Europe.
What?
Okay.
What's angry man logic?
I think there's some pre-existing notions
Yeah.
with this question.
I will say, in the 8 years that Ryan and I have been together, I've never heard him angry. Not once.
Because he wouldn't let me when I'm angry.
Okay.
When did you realize you were ready for a dog and the responsibility? Did it change your relationship at all?
When did we decide? We didn't really decide. We just kind of like...
When we first got a dog was Cotton, back in Texas. That was going to a Petco and seeing the rescue company.
Yeah,
with
we
the
went
dogs.
to like an adoption day.
Yeah.
And we fostered him for a long time, but then we just couldn't.
So I don't think we realized we were ready. We just saw an animal and like,
Yeah.
we've got to take this thing.
Does it change your relationship? Your sex life will never be the same.
What was the transition when you first moved in together? How did you guys adapt?
It was like a very slow build. It wasn't like a move-in day. I had my apartment and Ryan slowly started moving his stuff in. We slowly started splitting the rent, and then before you know it, he's pooping in my apartment.
I was pooping well before that. How many employees does Ryan's digital marketing agency have? How many brands are dealt with? The agency, like 4 people. And how many brands are dealt with? 10-ish right now.
Why are you looking at me?
I
don't know.
I don't manage the day-to-day of
Yeah,
that
he
anymore.
doesn't. Yeah.
And it's scaled down a bunch over the years because that's not the best use of time right now. The best
Yeah.
use of time is on larger picture projects.
Mm-hmm.
Was it hard to pick the same number of bridesmaids and groomsmen?
No, we have one more groomsmen than we do bridesmaids, and it's not important to me to have the same number of bridesmaids and groomsmen. Like, what is important to me is that we both have the people we want standing up there on our big day.
Do you guys have a morning routine that you do together or a special quarantine one?
We each have our separate morning routines, but every morning we both take Stella on her walk. We make sure to do that together. But Ryan usually gets up a couple of hours before me, and he's learned like not to mess with me until I've had my coffee. Like, this is one thing that bugs me about you a little bit is like,
Did we just figure something out?
he'll like right off the bat start talking about business because he's been up for a couple of hours already. He's read his book, he's had his coffee, he's like done all the things, and he'll wake me up and be like, hey, Estee Lauder sold their company for $1 million today. And I'm like,
Well,
I don't care.
That
Get
is
out of my
silly,
face.
because that's a tens of billions
Well,
of
I'm
dollar
just giving
company.
an example. I'm like, get out of my face. Unless you have my coffee in your hand, please exit the bedroom.
You flick me? What treatments did Ryan do to his face? His skin looks super smooth and bright. My face is not super smooth. I've got like old person stuff. Like literally, like age is real.
Will you tell people that you don't wear concealer under your eyes, that you have naturally bright under eyes?
No, yeah, this is real. They just are like that. It's kind of annoying too.
He hates it. He hates it. So many people accuse him of wearing concealer under his eyes, and then they don't believe him when he says no, like he would want.
I just want to have a smooth complexion, like uniform. Like I want like this color to be this color to be. Like I want it all to be one. That's the goal. That's what you get with makeup, so it's not fair. I've got to have like weird under white eyes.
Oh, I love you. It's okay.
Anyway, what treatments do I do though? I've got a hefty skincare routine, dude. Only because I've got a lot of product at my disposal because of my lovely future wife. And that's the only reason I follow it to the T.
He's very serious about his skincare routine. I'm like, what are you doing in there? He's like, my nighttime skincare routine. And I hear him patting.
If I have it available to me, I'm gonna use it, all right?
Yeah. You used to just slap some jergens on your face.
That's true, I did. Do you think it's weird for new couples that don't live together to not talk every day?
No, absolutely
It's not
not.
weird.
I feel like it takes time to like adjust to a new relationship, and you should still like be your own person and do your own thing without, I think like a couple of days is very normal to not speak.
Yeah, if it's new, that's not weird at all.
Yeah.
What Harry Potter house is each of you, and why would you say so?
I've never seen the Harry Potter.
If this was like 4 years ago, I'd be really into this question, but I cannot remember what the houses are at the moment. All I remember is Slytherin.
Like I'm gonna slither into your DMs.
But I don't think I would be in that house from what I remember about it. She's never seen any of the Harry
I don't
Potters.
know what you guys are even talking about.
Want more pets? Yes.
We want all the pets.
I will have all the pets, please.
I will take them all.
I want to have them in a big house in Texas with lots of land.
In a big yard, just all the pets.
Yes. What has been the hardest thing to adjust living in a smaller apartment?
Well, you clearly have not been a subscriber for a long time. Our first New York apartment was just under 500 square feet. I loved it. It was a box.
You loved it at that time of your life.
I loved it at that time, but if I had to live there again, I wouldn't mind it. The most, like, it's not the small space that's frustrating. Like, I consider this place a mansion. I wouldn't consider this a small space. The only problem is, like, not the small space, it's like the storage space, like the closet space. I could live in its very small quarters, but it's just like, I also need somewhere to put my stuff, but that's the problem.
All right, we gotta move into speed round. There's
Okay.
9% battery, and I've got a call.
Okay, let's go.
What do you think was your best business move that helped you get into fashion?
I hate to say it, but moving to New York, I know not everybody can do that, but for me personally, that was the best decision I could have made for the fashion industry.
Okay. After your extended time in Texas, did you decide to put off moving there and stay in NYC?
We just went to Texas for the holidays. We weren't planning on moving. We don't talk about moving back to Texas. Like, we don't have a date that we want to move back. We're still kind of like living our life right now. So it was never a matter of like decide to move or not.
Thoughts on traveling back to Texas to weather out the pandemic?
No, it's too late for that.
Too
we
late.
thought about it in the beginning when it wasn't bad, but we're supposed to be staying put, so that's what we're gonna do. We can't risk that.
What are each of your views on long distance relationships, and do you think you could do it? We did it.
We did do it. Yeah, I lived in New York for about a year while Ryan and I were first dating, and
Big 9 months.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard, but it does make you grow stronger, I think.
Have Ryan describe his ideal wedding if he could do it entirely his way. Entirely my way is entirely what is in her head on what she wants.
Okay, good answer.
That's the truth. Referencing your previous story, how are you helping out your hairstylist, dog sitter, etc.?
Yeah, in one of my Instagram stories, I mentioned, like, if you can, like, donating to your, like, monthly, like, your nail tech, your lash tech, you know, someone that comes and does your spray tan, your hairstylist, your dog sitter, dog walker, like, you know, and if you don't have the means to support them money-wise, to give them like shout out or a Google review, a Yelp review, something. And yes, everything that I am committed to on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis, I'm still paying so they can help keep their business running. I think, like, my hairstylist, they have a GoFundMe where all of their clients are still contributing, which is great. And I think that's such a great business move for them to set that up, because it doesn't hurt to ask for help.
What's the number one thing you both currently couldn't live without? It can be anything.
Coffee.
Coffee. Currently couldn't live without, like, a thing or an activity. Like, I couldn't live without a workout. Where to Stella sleep? Wherever she wants.
Some days it's on the bed.
Some days it's on the floor. Wherever she wants.
We never know.
Who's the boss in the house? Ashley is the boss in the house.
That's not.
80% of the time, this is the boss.
You know what? I would say that is true, but I also know when to step down and to know my place and what I know and what I don't know.
Okay. Boss.
That had a tone that I don't appreciate.
Tips for couples who are suddenly both working from home.
Oof. Just know that it's temporary, and just do what you can to communicate and work out a schedule.
Be self-aware, know the other person's schedule, don't bother them when they're obviously in the middle of important things.
Unless it's a great meme that needs to be shared.
But sometimes important work that they're doing is stuff that makes it look like they're not doing anything. They could be reading, they could be focused on something where you just think they're just farting around. Mind your business, let them work. With this virus, don't you both look forward to one day moving to the country?
Yes.
Not even with the virus.
Yeah.
That's just in general.
I've already like planned out my tomato farm, and like in my head I virtually go to like this big piece of land where I'm like growing harvest.
What happened to life by her? I don't hear about it anymore. Just curious.
Well, Life by Her is now 5th floor. So there was like a name change, and I don't talk about it, and this is just a bad business decision on my part. I don't like bugging you guys with it and like continue to talk about it, but it's something that I need to get over because it's something that I am very proud of, and like I'm so proud of my community, and I think like I love everyone should be a part of a community like that. So I guess that's kind of like a reminder that I need to talk about it more.
Can you share your suffering regarding your ovarian cyst?
I'll save that for another video. I've lived with them for so long, it's just taking it day by day and just monitoring when I have one and knowing when I need to go to the doctor or not.
How do you react when someone steals your idea on social media? It happened to me.
Like everyone's getting inspiration from something. I look at it when I see somebody like, you know, people always ask me, like, people in my community who start magazines because they see my magazines when they start a magazine. So people try to like say, oh, so-and-so started a magazine, like, aren't you upset? And I'm like, well, I wasn't the first one to start an online magazine. Like, so many other people have them. They've been around forever. It wasn't my original idea. So you have to kind of look at it like, was this your original idea? Are they copying you like word for word? Their branding is the same, their name is the same, or do they just get inspiration from you? I think people need to learn when to like take a step back and like be flattered instead of annoyed that someone's ripping you off, basically.
You recommend moving in together before marriage?
I feel like that's all such personal preference. There are so many things that people have beliefs in their culture or religion or just personal that they don't want to do that. But for me, I don't like surprises when it comes to that kind of thing. And I feel like when you live together, you really like know so much more about that person. And like sharing finances, like you don't, this is all personal for me. I just didn't want there to be any surprises. So like finances, living together, I wanted to know all of this before I know that this is the person that I want to be with. Sorry if I don't want to offend anybody with that. That's just me.
Doesn't IG, YouTube make you feel vulnerable sharing personal stuff? What's the game for you?
Used to, it was weird. I feel like now it's just become a part of my daily life, just kind of like sharing the insides of our life and what's going on. And the game for me is, I guess, just personal connection, which is one of the reasons why I started my 5th floor community, because I'm such an introvert, but I love connecting with other women and I love like that type of connection. So this was like a perfect way for me to connect with people but not have to like be in a room full of people at the same time, because I am shy when it comes to that. I'm a little bit more reserved. So the game for me is like new relationships and networking, but doing it from my computer.
And the game is we have documentation of our life for our kids and grandkids.
That's true.
Where's the best place to get coffee in New York? It's a place in Tribeca. I can't remember the name. We'll put it in the description.
Oh, what is that place called? And Ground Support in Soho. It's really good. Yeah.
Do you believe in having a soulmate?
No. Like one soulmate in like the world? No. I believe that people's energies can... what kind of big sister are you? Do you prioritize Ryan or your sisters? I have a hard time finding balance. Ryan's needs and my sister's needs are two totally different things. They need different things from me. And when my sisters are in need, I feel like Ryan's like the big brother because he's been with them since they were little. So it's not even about like my time being pulled. It's like we're in this for them. Like anything they need, we have. And he would never ever put me in a situation that I would have to choose what's more important, because neither one are more important. They're important in their own ways. My sisters are more important in their own way. Ryan's more important in his own way. I think you can very much find balance with the help of your partner.
Question.
Are we done? You gotta go take your call.
I've gotta get on a call.
I'll end this. All right, that was fun. I have no clue how, I'm probably gonna be editing for, oh wait, there was one more question.
What?
Someone wanted to know our communication secrets.
Sweetie.
I think like my biggest tip for communication is like at least once a week you should be uncomfortable. When you are fully communicating with somebody, like you should be uncomfortable at certain times. So I think that's my biggest tip is like, don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Like you should be. That's how you get the most progress when it comes to communication. Okay, I think this Q&A is probably gonna be over an hour. I'm so sorry, there were a few of you that were upset about the long vlog last time, and like my best advice to you is just take the vlog and cut it into like 2 or 3 parts and just like watch it throughout the week, throughout the month. You know, I think we're in a certain time right now where people are looking for ways to connect like online, and I think like a long vlog and long videos are my way of doing that to maybe give you guys something to do. But I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you want to see next. All right, bye guys.